So welcome back to another episode, and I'm joined by Russell of Press Start Games here, and we are going to talk about some of the best consoles to collect for.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about some of the ones that are fun to collect for, and later on in the episode, consoles that, yeah, you can collect for, I guess you could make money from the games on these things. That's up to you, how you like to collect. It's not personally how I like to collect, but we're going to talk about everything today. And because Russell has such great knowledge, owning his own video game store for how many years?
13. Going on 13 this year.
13 years. So we're going to hear a really interesting perspective on this. So I'm going to ask you guys, what are some consoles that you like to collect for? Let us all know down below some of the ones that you collected for just for fun, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my god, all these games are worth some money now? It's a bit of a shock, right? It has been for me over the years, because I don't know how it's been for you as a video game player and all that. For me, when I was younger, I just bought all the games I liked, and then all of a sudden those games sometimes were worth something, which is really strange.
I think you're 10 years older than me, so
yes.
I grew up with the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
And you know, honestly, when I started my store, I sold it all so that I had stock for the store.
Oh my god. Yeah.
So I've rebuilt over the past years, of course.
Right, right.
But it is insane the value that these games have gotten to.
It's gone ridiculous, and that's why we want to start with. We're going to talk about some consoles that are just fun to collect for. And that they're kind of reasonable, affordable.
People can still buy them. They're not priced out of the market.
Yeah, which a lot of them are. If you want to become a Neo Geo collector, I'm sorry.
No, don't.
So I'll ask you, Russell, what is a console that a younger person with a little bit of money can walk into a store, start collecting for, and get some good games and have a good amount of fun with?
So I'm gonna start off with something I was mentioning to you earlier. I'm gonna say probably the Game Boy.
It's interesting.
I'm gonna go with the Game Boy. I feel that a lot of people are on the go these days.
Yeah.
And having an old handheld is great, and the Game Boy has a fantastic library of games.
Right.
You get your RPGs, you can get your 2D platformers, get your driving games.
Yeah.
They even have a couple fighting games, which is a little weird. But I would say that it's affordable, and there's tons of, like, Mario Land is amazing.
Is there some games that are like you're priced out that are really rare now, or is it that reasonable?
There's very few.
Yeah.
But if you get like a Game Boy Advance SP, you can play original Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance games, and that's like over 2,000 games.
Right. Yeah. So you're talking about one that's like easy to jump into, collect for right away, reasonable prices, and to have a bit of fun with.
I would say that games vary between like as low as $10 to as high crazy, but like I'd say medium around $30 to $40 range.
Right.
Which is still, and this is Canadian dollars, this more affordable for people these days.
So that's a handheld, which is good to recommend. What about a console to jump into?
So I think the Wii U might be a good one. It's self-contained. There's not a lot of games, but there's a lot of quality games on the Wii U.
Oh yes.
So, and it's still affordable.
There's so many great games on there that you can still walk into a store and buy for a decent price and have a great time with. And I'm not saying anything, but I hooked up my Wii U a couple of months ago to do an episode, and I was playing all the games. I'm like, these still really hold up really well.
Yeah, there's some, and you know what? They were so good that they still transferred them to the new generation.
Yeah, so exactly. Mario Kart, you know, like those all of that.
Mario Kart 8's still going.
Yeah, so. And there's just enough of them that you can collect all of them. It's not too much. It's not like, oh my god, I can't get all of these games.
There's like 290 or
oh my god, that's a reasonable.
It's so very few. And the ones that are actually really expensive, like I think there's like Devil's Third and Axiom Verge, which was a limited run game.
Right.
And they released those ones. They're expensive, but you don't need them to get quality out of the system, I feel.
Right. So you can jump in. How much does a Wii U cost in Canadian dollars? We're doing Canadian dollars.
So let's be fair. They have been going up a little bit because more people are getting into it because they are more affordable. So I would say that they range between like $150 and $200.
Yeah.
For a console, which is okay in today's market, I feel.
Okay, so the Wii U is good. Game Boy is good if you want a handheld system. What is another console? No, that is still reasonable. I know because it's
like not unreasonable. I feel.
Yeah, not unreasonable. Like to even collect for the Genesis, Super Nintendo's really up there.
So Super Nintendo, I used to say, is the most expensive casual collection that a buyer could have, like collector have. So if you're buying loose carts it's great because there's tons of games. I'm a huge Super Nintendo fan.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the best consoles ever made.
I love it too.
Like from retro, that's my nostalgia. But the games are starting to get a little pricey. So games like Earthbound are like $500 Canadian. It's insane.
Oh,
like a loose cart.
The
like
cars.
Just a cart.
Yeah.
Like, don't even talk about box.
Yeah, the box right here is worth.
We want to talk about this.
Which is so ridiculous. When it first came out, nobody even cared about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was always in the discount bin and all of that. I'm going to mention a console, because you own a store, tell me, one that I think I would like to recommend to everybody is, I know, not the original Xbox 360 hardware, but if you can get one that works without the red ring of death, that's a good console to collect for, because there's a lot of games. It's not, a lot of those games have not gone up in price, and that's a good thing if you're looking for lots of games that are reasonably priced.
I'd say value-wise, the 360 is very good. The hardware kind of sucks.
Yeah, unfortunately.
They kind of cheaped out on that.
Yep.
But they had huge market saturation at the time that it came out, so they had like years ahead of the PS3 coming out.
Yeah.
And so they have every game. Like, there's everything on there. There's exclusives are good, like Left 4 Dead, things like that, and they're still only between $10 and $20 max.
Yeah.
Like, they're really pretty cheap for collecting, so.
Yeah. What's one of the most, like, we know the Neo Geo, we know, like, what is a console that's just out of the realm of possibilities for people now?
I would say TurboGrafx 16 and Neo Geo.
All the ones that I like.
Neo Geo AES is really bad.
Yeah, because you know what, I got a theory too. It's all my generation that have the expendable money that are buying all those games now from their youth that didn't have them then. I believe something, and you can tell me if you believe this will happen in time. All of us older guys who bought the Neo Geo TurboGrafx will be dead soon. Don't worry about that. And then all those collections are going to get pushed back out into the wild, and the younger generation is going to say, the Turbo what? The Neo Geo who?
But maybe they won't care.
Maybe they won't care.
Maybe it'll fade away.
Maybe it'll fade away, and the Neo Geo one day might not be worth anything. Do you think that's a possibility? I think so.
I always wonder about this, like if it's a bubble or not, like, are the newer generation's going to get into games? I think, actually, speaking on a YouTube channel, I think YouTube and social media really help propel retro games into a newer generation. Yeah. So it's, I mean, someone's going to watch this video if you die and fade away and the games all go
next week.
games all go away.
Yeah.
Somebody's still going to watch this video and be like, Neo Geo, and then they'll watch your older videos and
they might find out about it.
Maybe that'll keep it alive.
And then that's the fun, and that's one of the reasons why I do the show, to keep a lot of it alive. Just, even you had to plug the Super Nintendo because it's something from your youth that you that you really love. I love the Super Nintendo as well. Here's one, and I've never asked you this. What is a console that you personally like to collect for that is not the Super Nintendo?
So okay, it's affordable. I collect for PS4.
Yeah.
So I'm very next gen in a way. Like, I collect PS4, PS5 actually. I have like 400, 500 games, physical games.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't realize how many games are on that system.
It's ridiculous.
Like, PS2 is always known, it has 1,800 games. Everybody's like crazy, but like PS4 and even Xbox One, they've gotten a lot of games over the past few years. They're like pushing 2,000 plus.
Yeah, I got my PS4 collection up here, and to me, you know, for me, what's always weird is it's not a collection of the games I wanted, and then after a long, years of buying them, you're like, oh, I got a collection, and I didn't even know I had one.
It just kind of sneaks up on you.
It just kind of sneaks up on you, and all of that. So yeah, those are some. Is there any other consoles that you want to talk about that are like fun and affordable? We're still in that zone. We're gonna do
fun and affordable.
We're still in that zone.
Fun and affordable. I mean, honestly, like, if you stick with, once again, we're treading into like Nintendo territory here, and we were talking about new gen. I'd still say, like we talked about a little, the Switch is pretty good.
Yeah, and we're gonna get into the Switch.
I really think it is affordable though, to like versus
right.
Like, we'll talk a little bit more about the Switch, but like versus right now affordability, versus like Neo Geo.
Yeah, well, yes, of course.
TurboGrafx 16.
They're up here, and the Switch can still
like way down here.
And then this is what we're going to get into in a little bit, talking about things that are going to go up in price. If you're interested in that, I believe we might as well just get into it.
Okay.
Is that
investments?
The investments. If that's the thing, if you want to buy games that you think you'll gain money off in time,
keep them sealed.
I guess keep them sealed is the big one. We believe, I'll ask you, I believe, it's the Switch. I think the Switch is cheap to get into right now.
Yeah.
There's so many great games, so many like indie games on there. And yeah, like all the old RPGs, I talked about this. That's why the Switch is my favorite console of all time.
So I've always had this thing, like I have a love-hate thing with the Switch. So it's a bit of a difference of opinion.
Yeah.
Everybody loves the Switch.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I have a Switch. I have tons of games for it. I love it. I think it's got the most variety of any console out there.
Yeah.
But the thing is, everybody does.
Right.
So when it comes to that, how many people do you think are collecting for the Switch?
Everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah, right.
So everybody has a wall of red, as we call it.
Right.
Like it's
Yeah, I know.
Billy shelves full of,
I know.
of Switch games. That doesn't necessarily mean that they won't raise in value. Everything Nintendo does raise in value. But maybe collector boxes really matter with this generation. Maybe
Right.
standard's not the way to go. Maybe we should be collecting, and we're talking about investments, right?
Right,
Like,
so investment. So I think Nintendo first-party special editions are probably the things that are people will want to get in 10
what was
years'
it
time.
like, Neo Blade Chronicle, or the one that you could only buy it through Nintendo Store?
Oh, Xenoblade Chronicles.
Yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles.
Yeah, which we had a heck of a time getting. We finally got one.
Could only, and so like I think maybe when it comes to the Switch, the collector items, the collector editions are the way to go.
Well,
what is
going to be to drive up the prices, I believe, on the Switch, is that all the young people right now who are 10 years old that have a couple of games, borrow friends like we used to do, and give them another 15 years, and they got some, their high lawyer jobs, and they're like, you know
fancy.
what? Yeah, like, and they're sitting there having a cognac one night.
I'm gonna go buy a Switch.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, but they're thinking back to the past, and they're like, I never did get that Metroid Dread Special Edition, and they're like, I can, and they go on eBay and they buy it for
when
a
we're all
ridiculous
long and
price.
gone in our old age homes.
Right, I'll be like, hey, come back, yeah, for sure, those are the people are gonna drive up the price like we are right now with the Neo Geo and the TurboGrafx. I for this first party stuff.
But saturation is so different now
Yes,
than it was during the
know.
age of like they used to release Nintendo games like once or twice a month.
Yeah.
But now we get like 15 games a week. It's like ridiculous.
Dozens. Here you go.
It's insane.
Yeah, and
so I don't know how many copies of every game are out there. Like that's why collector's editions might be the way to go.
Well, I've always said, like, for me, all the games that have risen in price are all the games that I personally like.
Yeah.
It's really weird. I bought Earthbound when nobody even knew what Earthbound was or cared.
You lucked out with your RPG love.
Yeah, I didn't know that'd be a thing, right? And all of that, so I've been lucky that way. But I think it's that way for younger people as well. Of course it is. The games that they like, put an appreciation into, everybody will want those.
Yeah.
More, they talk to their friends, oh my god, I have, Link's Awakening Special Edition. Oh, I want that too.
RPGs are still huge.
RPGs will always be huge.
JRPGs.
Yeah.
For investments, we should mention that horror games are big. Survival horror, anything like that. I think on the PS2 we got like Rule of Rose, Kuon, Haunting Ground, Blood Will Tell. All these games are super valuable now, and they were not even JRPGs.
Yeah, and they weren't crazy to begin with, and that's the thing. I believe jump into the Switch collecting now. I'm just saying, if you want to do that, to maybe, first of all, to have a good time, you'll get great games there.
Variety.
Right.
Insane.
Variety's nuts. You'll find something that you like. But if you're looking to invest into a system that I think prices will go up in, I believe the Switch is probably one of the best ways to go.
I think it's a good prospect. It's another one that's good for investment. This is weird. What I was talking about in the store is PS3. And why it's a good time to buy PS3 is because it's a self-contained unit.
Right.
So it's like the Wii U. You buy PS3, you could get exclusives on it that are only on PS3. You can't play them on anything else.
Right.
You can't play them on PS4 or 5 or anything. So PS3 is another good one that I would buy to go up in price, along with say Switch stuff now, for affordability's sake. If you're looking to invest and get more value.
That's a really good one. I would have even thought to say PS3.
There's already some games that are going up in price, and it happened when they said they were going to close down the store online, and they didn't in the end.
Yeah.
It pushed some games that were exclusive to PS3 up into the $100 range, which is unheard of in that generation. There's not a lot of $100 even 360 games.
Yeah.
So PS3 already has some of that, and I think over time they might build up in price as well as, say, things like Switch Collector's Editions especially, and Switch games overall, just because there's just so many of them.
Yeah, that's a great recommendation, by the way. That is a really good one. I really love that. And it's funny, for me being a customer coming in, he owns the store, whenever I'm in there and other customers come in, they always say one thing, and that's why I'm saying, hey, do you have any Switch games?
Oh my gosh, yeah. No, it's true.
And the Switch section...
Everybody's playing Switch.
And why I'm saying the Switch section is like this, because you can't keep them in stock, they just keep going.
They flow in and out like insane. Like,
yeah, people was buying... Everybody wants their walls of red, as you were talking about.
Yeah, the walls of red.
The walls of red and all of that. I mean, so I think that's a really good way to go. Any other things you want to say from, like, people coming in? What do you think about collectors nowadays? Let's talk about that.
Okay, sure.
Like, you deal with them on a daily basis. What is collecting like in 2023, and what do you see with everybody?
There's definitely like two classes of collector. You have your investment collector, and you have your collector because I want to get the games I had when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I'm in the kid nostalgia realm.
Me too.
I'm not a big fan of the sealed collecting. I deal in it because it's part of the industry. I think people should buy games and play them. If you want to invest in something, I'm going to tell everybody my tip is stocks.
Yeah.
Don't deal in games.
Because it's unpredictable.
Yeah, games are and also it takes like 20 years for a game to go up in price.
That's also that too.
Like it's it's a long period of time. And with that said, these two types of collectors come in the store all the time, and generally the sealed collectors are super picky. They'll want perfect seals
because they want to make money off this.
They're trying to make money off it. They might grade it,
right,
which is not something I like to talk about.
Yeah, me
either. Might grade
it.
Sealed. It's this whole thing. It came from comic collectors and book collectors. They got into the game industry, and that's fine. But it's not my favorite part of selling games. I like the fun collectors. They're coming in, they're trying to get their nostalgia. They're trying to buy the games that they remembered when they were kids, ones they grew up with. They rented at Blockbuster or whatever they had at the time.
That's what I'm like, like once in a while when I can get a Neo Geo game, when I can afford a Neo Geo game, it feels like I'm buying gold because I feel like I'm buying my youth back. I feel
like the hunt has changed though these days. I feel like it's harder for people to find things. You let us know, but like I definitely feel that people have been having a harder time finding their nostalgia, and especially at a reasonable price, which is what we were talking about.
Yeah, that's the hard thing. I mean, my nostalgia is impossible.
I've seen lots of disappointed people.
I'm a disappointed person. I would love, like I've talked about it so many times on the show, I would love a complete Neo Geo collection. That would mean so much to me. Like, emotionally.
How close are you?
I'm not close at all. Are you kidding? I got like maybe 20 games. That's nothing.
Like $20,000.
But it's not quite.
Yeah.
Some games are worth like $200 and all that.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the games that are completely out of
insanity.
Like we're talking about Metal Slug and Mark of the Wolves.
Yeah,
and
those ones are crazy.
They're an impossibility to collect. And they're not fun.
And you never see them.
And you never see them. And it's not fun to collect for and all that. One system I'll say, I think it's actually sitting right here.
Oh.
The PlayStation, this is still pretty good to collect for.
Yeah.
There's some games that are extraordinary.
We were talking about this earlier, about what systems are fun to collect for. People always collect for Nintendo. Then we kind of think that Sega sort of comes up on that. People collect for Genesis.
Yes.
And like Sega Saturn, Sega CD, stuff like that. And then right after that, we feel Sony comes in. Yeah. And Sony, the PS1's got some amazing games on them. They are picking up in price a little bit though. Classics, like I've noticed, like even normal ones like Crash Bandicoot and Spyro, people are kind of revisiting that, and those prices are slowly coming up.
Like I came in and Brave Fence and Musashi. How much was that going for?
It was like 160 or something.
I think it's more. I think it's
something like that. But they're slowly going up.
Yeah, and I remember when you could get that game for like $30.
Yeah, it was like nothing.
So like also, I'd say that's a good point. If you're into PS1 and you want to, now's the time to do it. Before it gets crazy.
Slowly getting this, so start doing it now.
Yeah.
Like leave before this video ends.
What's another system that you're seeing that is jumping in price? Like you're shocked about
GameCube. It upsets. It upsets me.
Yeah, that makes sense. I love the GameCube.
GameCube upsets me because the prices are insane.
Yeah,
I've seen games that were like maybe 5 years ago they were like $30 and now they're like $80.
Okay, yeah, so it's all just kind of going up gradually.
Generational demand.
Even Star Fox Adventure's gone up.
Yeah,
a game you can give away at one time.
Now people are like, oh, I want to play that one.
Even I've never played it. I definitely want to get that game one day. Yeah, just to have it and all of that.
And it's true. It's a generational thing. So like those kids, they're all fancy lawyers now, and they want to buy their nostalgia, and they're going to buy GameCube because they're in their 20s and 30s. Yeah, 20s, I guess now.
Yeah, the GameCube is how many years old now? It came out in God, I'm trying to think. In the year
2001, 2002?
Yeah.
Right
the reason why I was having a hard time, I'm thinking, no, I'm 2006. I'm like, no, John, go back.
Because remember, like, Dreamcast was like 99, 2001.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was like 2001.
Yeah.
It's like, it's crazy
Yeah.
buying that. And I like the GameCube. I also like the look of the GameCube.
It's a little lunchbox.
Yeah, and so all those kids that were younger, they were 6 years old, they're all like 26 now.
Yep.
Even if they were 10, they're like 30 now.
And they got jobs, probably making money.
Of course they do. And they're like, I love the GameCube.
Yep.
This is my childhood.
So demand, which?
Just like the Switch.
All the way up.
Because quite literally, all these machines, like we got the Sega CDX here, that's somebody's childhood. Maybe it was mine. The PlayStation, the N64, the regular Nintendo there. Mm-hmm. And of course, we got the Switch going on. All of these represent, and then a heck a lot more, represent people's childhoods.
Yeah.
And nostalgia is a big thing. It's what drives all of this. Nostalgia is what drove you to opening up a game store.
It's how the market works.
Yeah.
It's what I do. Is nostalgia. I deal in nostalgia. I know that sounds terrible. But
No,
that's what I do.
it's cool though.
Yeah.
And you enjoy the fun bits of nostalgia.
Because I'm a collector myself. I collect my like Super Nintendo and stuff like that. So I get it. It's hard to see the price. Like I've been doing this 13 years. It's hard to see the prices go up.
You're a very reasonable guy though, and I really respect this about you. Is that a customer may bring in a game. And it's an expensive game. I won't even name any games. I'll just say the game's expensive. We'll just say I don't even know. And Russell will say, and they'll say, "Can you give me some money for this?" And you always say this. You do know this is worth a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
And you always tell them that. And I always like that, rather than being, I'll give you $10.
Being crystal clear with collectors and people that you don't know is super important when you're dealing in this kind of stuff, because it return consumership, all that kind of thing. And I know that a lot of people are like, oh, I got this amazing deal because some granny sold it to me for $10 out of their attic. Like, but you realize when you do that, you're not helping anybody by doing that. You're making a bubble market. You're causing problems. It's better just to let everybody be informed.
Yes.
Because then people know what the prices are. If we can standardize what things are worth, then everybody's happy in the end.
Yeah.
And there's no like tricks.
Yeah, and then no tricks, and then that customer's like, hey, thank you for telling me. You gain trust with them. Yes. They're like, I trust this guy. I'm going to come back.
They refer me. If they're not gamers, they refer me. Yeah. Other people come to us. It's just, you got to be crystal clear. Yeah,
more video game stores need to do that. I mean, I think that's worth its, everything in gold there. Just to have that. It's so worth it. Is it fun collecting nowadays compared to the old days?
I think it's different.
Yes,
let's not say it's not fun, because collecting is always fun. You find that thing that you're looking for forever. You're gonna have all this joy.
You get it for a reasonable price.
It's amazing. But it's definitely more expensive, which can deter people from getting into it. So I'd say if you're not already into it, be prepared. If you're gonna start, the prices are gonna be a little shocking.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say something that will be looked at as controversial. But I'm going to say for a lot of the old machines, a lot of the old ones that like a young person comes to and says, I can't afford a $200 game. That's right, you can't. Go emulate it.
Yeah, I mean...
If it's not in any other way, go and emulate it and go and have a good time.
Just go play, have fun. It's not always about having these physical collections and toting how much value they have. That's not what it's about.
No.
It is about the games in the end.
Yes.
Regardless of what we're talking about collecting. We're talking to certain people that want to have the physicals.
Yeah.
But if you want to just play the game, hey, you know what? You can download the game, play it, and then if you ever see a deal on that game, buy it.
Yeah, exactly.
Then collect it. You play the games.
Yeah, play the games. I mean, for sure. Like all this collection I had before I started the show, and I put it up behind me because I wanted it to represent my enthusiasm, not as a bragging thing to say, oh, I've got Earthbound over here. Yeah. No, it's to represent my love of video games and everything that got me into video games. That's what it's all about.
And that's what it's about.
That's what it's about. And that's what it should be about. But we want to do an episode on, some fun collecting and some collecting if you're looking into a possible profitability in the future. We gave some tips as well, some thoughts on that as well. So what do you guys think? What are some systems that you like to collect for? Some that you're investing into? Let us know down below. So anyways, guys, until next time.